Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of The Power of Food, Cultivating Equitable Policy Through Collective Action. My name is Ann Palmer, and I work at the Johns Hopkins Center for a Livable Future. I'm thrilled to be here today with you all. Here for me is the stolen lands of the Piscataway, Lumbee, and Cherokee Nations, otherwise known as Baltimore, Maryland. As Karen mentioned yesterday, the Center for a Livable Future is located at the Bloomberg School of Public Health. Food Policy Networks, or FPN, as we call it, is a project of the center. Many of you are familiar with FPN. We send the annoying emails to get you to complete our survey. But I know there are people attending who don't know much about us. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking to you about where we hope to go, where we've been, and how we got here. Like many of you, we spent the last 18 months virtually gathering, grieving, and reflecting on our work. We thought a lot about how our network could contribute to transforming the growing challenges we were witnessing and turning them into opportunities. Food has always lagged behind other public policy areas, with many elected officials and local governments uncertain about its relevance. COVID changed that. We saw many of you, your organizations, your councils, mobilizing resources and people in your communities, including governments and nonprofits. From our survey of councils about their work in response to COVID, 82% of you reported that you help facilitate connections across sectors to match food and farm resources with needs. Food policy councils provide a platform for people to begin to understand where and how food is situated in their communities. Last year brought national attention to systemic racism, generated in part by the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery, along with the pandemic's disproportionate effect on communities of color. Councils are stepping up and reacting to the national call to address systemic racism. For them, it is a call to challenge the dominant food system and their approach to policy. Our 2020 survey found that 38% of councils use a racial or social equity framework to guide their policy and advocacy actions, while another 43% are currently developing a framework. We neglected to ask this question of councils before, which tells you something about our headspace as well. But if we had, I'm pretty sure these numbers would have been much lower. Things are slowly changing. Where does all of this take us? With support from the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, we will launch our first community of practice to advance racial equity and economic justice in October. 15 councils from 15 different states will be participating for 2 years to develop a values-driven framework that centers equity and justice in their council. We can't do this alone because we don't have the expertise. So we engaged Noelle Didla from the Center for Ideas, Equity, and Transformative Change, Curtis Ogden from the Interaction Institute for Social Change, Nissia Berner-Wong from Change Lab Solutions, and civic engagement expert Kip Hawley. This community of practice is just one step to creating equitable policy through collective action, and one we hope changes the structure of councils to better support equity. We need your help to shape the work of the Food Policy Networks project and this growing network of councils for the next 18 months and beyond. Where do you need support in your work with food systems policy and councils? Do you want to host a conversation with other councils on urban agriculture, another topic? How about a learning circle or discussion group? One hallmark of a healthy network is the ability to self-organize. We can provide some structure and support to do that. We've spent the last 8 years monitoring a listserv, hosting conversations, poring over survey results, organizing webinars, offering technical assistance, writing reports, connecting councils to peers, and now we're looking for new ways to move this movement forward. We started this project in 2013 when Mark Winnie came to us and asked if we would partner with him. As many of you know, Mark has guided the initiation of more food policy councils in the US than anyone else. He inherited the Community Food Security Coalition's Food Policy Council resources and was looking for an institutional home when the coalition disbanded. I'm glad he asked, and I'm glad we said yes. Since the start of that project, we have accomplished much of what we set out to do, including hosting this gathering. We had hoped that all of us could be together in person and get to know each other better. But I will admit that virtual relationships we formed with our local host committee and design team for the forum have shown me that it is possible to know and love people, even if you've only met them virtually. I have also learned that policy is only part of the process. In the book White Rage, Carol Anderson exposes how each successful policy that was intended to address racial inequities was immediately challenged and fought by whites. The wave of voter suppression laws is a perfect example of how policy enforces structural racism. Our work moving forward must address white supremacy culture and acknowledge that by continuing the status quo, we are reinforcing inequities, a point I learned from my colleague, Dr. Daryl Harris. We can't claim to create a healthy, sustainable, and equitable food system if we are only working with white professionals. We must dedicate our work to being responsible accomplices in centering racial equity and to resource, support, and honor people of color's self-determination and leadership through food policy. Are we in a position to take more risks with each other? What kind of partnerships and structures would help us do that? How do you want to participate? This is hard work, and we need everyone at the table. I am hopeful that you all will walk away from this event prepared to help us shape the future of the Food Policy Network project as we shape the past. Next, I would like to introduce Kolia Souza from Michigan State University's Center for Regional Food Systems. Kolia works as the Food System Equity and Advocacy Specialist. She also leads the National Racial Equity in the Food System Work Group and co-facilitates the Michigan Local Food Council Network, among many other things. I'm going to turn it over to Kolia, who will take it from here.
Thank you, Anne. So I am proud to introduce our next speaker, U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow. She is Michigan's senior senator and a prominent national leader who serves as chairwoman of the Senate Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry. Senator Stabenow has been a true champion for Michigan families, farmers, and local food systems. She has consistently led successful efforts to make sure families have enough to eat and kids have healthy options at school. And she's a champion for local food hubs, farmers markets, and urban agriculture here in Michigan and nationwide. So without further ado, a few words from Senator Stabenow.
Congratulations on the first national gathering of food policy councils. I'm so glad to join you to discuss local, healthy, and sustainable food. Food policy councils play an important role in strengthening local food systems, diversifying what we grow and who grows it, and ensuring families have healthy food no matter where they live. I'm proud there are nearly 30 food policy councils across Michigan, from Muskegon to Saginaw to the UP and everything in between. You are shining examples for how to help communities grow their own food, support food distribution sites, and farm-to-school programs, and championing policies that boost local food systems. In places like Bay Mills, food policy councils work to strengthen native foodways and grow food sovereignty in tribal communities. In the 2018 Farm Bill, as you know, I fought to make sure that food policy councils are a partner in the local agricultural market program for grants to improve local food communities through farmers markets, CSAs, and agriculture, tourism, and more. And I made funding permanent for key food policy council priorities like nutrition incentive programs and outreach, as well as assistance for beginning farmers and farmers of color. I've also enjoyed working very closely with food policy councils in Detroit and Grand Rapids and Lansing to expand the resources available to urban farmers and create the new Office of Urban Agriculture. Urban agriculture not only helps build local food systems and encourages access to healthy food, it also introduces a whole new generation of more diverse producers to food and farming, and it creates jobs. As COVID-19 exposed the gaps in the food supply chain, you and your network stepped up to keep local food economies afloat by safely reopening farmers markets and connecting families with locally produced food. And that's why I made sure the COVID relief packages provided resources to build supply chain resiliency, protect food and farm workers, expand local food purchases, increase options for food assistance like pandemic EBT, and upgrade regional food infrastructure, so important. As we look ahead to reauthorize our child nutrition programs and begin the next Farm Bill, we're going to need your input on all of these important issues. We can do even more together. I'm proud to be your partner.
I also have the privilege of introducing Glenn North. Glenn North is currently the executive director of the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center. He received an MFA in creative writing from UMKC. Glenn is the author of City of Song, a collection of poems inspired by Kansas City's rich jazz tradition and the triumphs and tragedies of the African American experience. He is a Cave Canem Fellow, a Callaloo Creative Writing Fellow, and a recipient of the Charlotte Street Generative Performing Artist Award. His work has appeared in the Langston Hughes Review, Caper Literary Journal, Platte Valley Review, New Letters, KC Studio, Cave Canem Anthology 7, the African American Review, and American Studies Journal. He collaborated with legendary jazz musician Bobby Watson on the critically acclaimed recording project Check Cashing Day, and is currently filling his appointment as the Poet Laureate of the 18th and Vine Historic Jazz District. Welcome, Glenn.
Thank you so much, Kolia, for that great introduction. I have two poems that I would like to share with you this morning that were commissioned by an organization here in Kansas City called KC Healthy Kids. They do a lot with food scarcity, food deserts, and hunger in terms of the young people in our community that are impacted by it. So the first one I would like to read is a sonnet, and it's called The Hunger Games. Leaders abandon us in our time of need, those at the top of the human food chain, with ravenous appetites fueled by greed, discard our children to the hunger games, rolling the dice with taxpayer money, smugly dealing us cards from a stacked deck, while innocent children, sweet as honey, grapple with starvation and school lunch debt. Ending snap with the snap of a finger, out goes the candle that was lit by wick. And infants' pangs of hunger still linger. You must be sick if that don't make you sick. How many leaders will betray our trust before we see the solution is us? So as a poet, one of the honors and privileges that I have is doing poetry workshops with young people all across Kansas City, the Kansas City area, and actually all across the country now. And so I've had an opportunity to see up close and personal the impact of hunger and how it can lead to so many other areas of dysfunction. You know, if a child hasn't eaten, that's going to impact their decision-making process. And so the second poem is called The House of Seven Hungers. And I got the idea from this idea of the body having seven hungers. Nutritionists have talked about this in several articles and journals. The House of Seven Hungers. Somewhere in this city, there is a child who is hungry. There is no breakfast waiting for him when he finishes dressing for school. Although he knows better, he opens the refrigerator, staring into the familiar bright emptiness, an emptiness that resembles the emptiness in his stomach, an emptiness not unlike that found in the chests of politicians, gaping holes where their hearts should be. Politicians who gamble with our children's lives like it's a game, like their lives are disposable, cutting food subsidy programs as casually as one would a deck of cards. Somewhere in this city, in the back of a classroom, not able to hear the teacher's voice over the insistent growls in his belly, reading, writing, and arithmetic are not edible and are thus not a priority. What the child has learned is that the body is a house of seven hungers. 1, the mind fixated on food has room for little else to ponder. 2, the eye searching for sustenance will continually wander. 3, the nose filled with flavorful aromas the tongue will never taste may foolishly cut itself off just to spite its face. 4, the mouth constantly craving that which will never touch its lips will spew venomous words like bullets from a clip. 5, the cells starving for nutrients they never will absorb will resort to fast food fixes they can more readily afford. The heart, hungry for love when no one hears its cry, will feed itself the very thing that will cause its demise. 7, the stomach, ever empty, will soon find recompense, and in its maddened state will devour innocence. Somewhere in this city, the child, now a young man, since dropping out of school, has too much time on his hands. His attempts to find work, but the pickings are slim, trying to divorce himself from hunger before the streets devour him. Meanwhile, back in DC, the 1% complain, too much is not enough when selfish gain is the game. But who pays the price for their pursuit of dividends? In the house of 7 hungers live the 7 deadly sins. And somewhere in this city, the hungry child, now an angry young man, decides to move forward with his poorly thought out plan. And though he has been there 1,000 times before, he points a gun in the face of the cashier at the corner liquor store. Even in his fear, the cashier understands that hunger will bring the thief out of any man. And somewhere in this city, another hungry child awakes to another empty refrigerator, another empty plate. The question is, what is it we will do while the child awaits? Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you for all of the hard work you're doing in your communities to take care of the children like the ones who were described in this poem. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn, for those beautiful poems. They were really, really touching. Now I would like to introduce Kim Dixon, who's going to guide us in a meditation. Kim is a licensed mental health therapist. She holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from the University of Southern Mississippi and has a Master of Science degree in marriage and family counseling from Mississippi College. Kim is passionate about breaking the stigma associated with counseling in the African American community and empowering individuals to take control of their mental health in order to live a more intentional and purpose-driven life. Kim and her colleague, Geraldine Dixon, are offering their healing services throughout the forum. Please look at our website for more details. Kim, you can take it away.
Introduction. Can everybody hear me? We're going to start with a meditation. And so I want everybody to just get comfortable in your seat. And you can close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes. And what I want you to do is to allow your body to relax. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Bring your awareness to any part of your body that you feel tension, still focusing on that breathing. So allow your skin to soften, your shoulders, your eyes to relax. Still focusing on that breathing in deep through your nose and out through your mouth. Allow that space behind your eyelids to soften, your voice to soften. Any tension that you're feeling in your hips or your back or your chest, I want you to release it. In through your nose and out through your mouth. I'm challenging you to be present in this moment with me as we bring up an image of what community looks like to you. That could look like a family member's home. It could look like a community garden with sustainable food. It could look like access and people around who love and support you. So pull that image up and be aware of how it makes you feel while you're focusing on that breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Do you feel warm? Do you feel safe? Do you feel supported in this community? In through your nose and out through your mouth. In this community that you have the image of in your mind, I now want you to shift to think about building in this area, putting down roots in the community that leaves you feeling safe and supported and seen. And to build this house, we have to start with the foundation. When we think about foundation, we're thinking about values. What came to you when you were thinking about the community? Was it a sense of family? Was it love? Was it joy, happiness? Was it freedom? Was it being able to provide for other people in the community for you? What are those values? Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And now let's think about our home structurally. Let's bring our attention to the walls of the home. And when we think about walls, we're thinking about support. What do you see in your community that supports you? Is it having like-minded people to lean on when the weather may be bad in your neighborhood and you're needing that extra support? Is it security in being able to manage financially, or even to be able to eat and provide health and wealth to your community? Those are your walls. And while you're building, I want you to remember that although things may be difficult, we have our community. We're anchored with support. We're rooted in our values and our like-mindedness to complete this home and add value to our community. Now I want to shift your focus from your walls to your roof. You're putting on your roof, which serves as protection. Being a part of a community and working on something that seems larger than you can sometimes be scary. Letting go and allowing things to be can sometimes feel unsafe. but what do I have within my community to support me, to help me? Is it your belief system? Is it your partners? Is it your teammates or other like-minded people? Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. The last thing that we're going to focus on today is going to be the chimney, the part of the structure that allows us to release things that are not adding value or getting us closer to our goals or the things that we desire or that are fulfilling. So in this moment, I want you to breathe in positivity and support and community and safety. And I want you to release things that do not add value to the home. Release things that take away from your feeling of community. Anything that caused an interruption in that image earlier, release those things. Breathing in love and teamwork and togetherness. Releasing division and confusion. Breathing in positivity. Releasing negativity and things that stop the progression of your community. During this process, as we're coming to a close, I want you to bring that body and that breathing back to the present moment. And I want you to remember that while things may get difficult and storms may come, leaning on your community, trusting in your foundational values and your support, we can continue to move together, building stronger, lasting structures that we could not otherwise do alone. One more deep breath in through your nose. Out through your mouth. Thank you all for this time.
Thanks, Kim. That was awesome. I certainly have needed a little stress relief for the last couple days, so thank you so much for joining us. In a minute, the conversation catalyst will be starting, so we hope you all are planning to join us. There are 3 different ones this morning and 3 different ones this afternoon, and we hope to see you back here tonight to hear the James Ward Band straight from Kansas City. Thanks, everybody.